Hello, my name is Catherine DeRosset, and today we're going to be looking at some issues with the most popular subject in the campaign and in the news media today. And that is a word that is used all the time, but it doesn't seem like anybody really knows what the particulars are, and that is the word jobs. There seems to be a prevailing view propagated by conservative people, or the conservative view, that if you lack a basic security in life, it is your fault. That all of that security that somebody else might have is available to you if you just weren't so lazy, greedy, expecting a handout, or would just go back to school and improve your skills, or stop expecting somebody else to do the hard work for you. If you would just work harder, all of that would be available to you. And the question that I have, that I think I know the answer to, is that true? Well, I think the answer is no. And let's just take a look, a small look at just a slice of the puzzle towards getting a job, which is the road to everything you could want in life: security, freedom, access to the places that you want to be. Ironically, that you'd say freedom with a job, but try not having a job and you will see your freedom curtailed. So this idea that people want to just sit on their butts and not work, I'm sure there's a few bad apples, just like there's a few axe murderers, but not everybody. So just to illustrate the situation, let's take a look at how you find a job. If you could just get one, if you didn't have all those bad things wrong with you, you're obviously doing something wrong. So let's challenge that, and let's look at how you go about finding a job, and how it seems very obvious that our society right now, the United States, maybe even worldwide, has a fear of really deconstructing what it means to look for a job, or even more ambitious, to have any kind of overarching theory or structure to getting a job. But the fact is, it's scattered. There's really nowhere to begin and nowhere to end. Until I guess the end is when you find a job, but that's harder and harder to do. So let's look at a traditional way to find a job. Want ads. If you only knew people wanted you, you could apply, right? Well, the one thing that has traditionally been the role of the community newspaper in all big cities, or any city, has been want ads. Well, take a look and research what all of those newspapers use for their want ads. They have been taken over, and there's a monopoly by national, probably even international, Career Builder or Monster, by these national tech companies. They're not employment companies, and you'll be seriously misled if you think they are. The CEOs are not human work advocates or employment experts that have PhDs in that. They are tech people, and they're there to make money. You may say, well, you don't need to have experience in job hunting in order to be a CEO of a job employment company. Well, I think that's false. Fashion companies that are run by outsiders have often failed. Just as a small counter to that argument. I'm not going to pursue it further because it's kind of off the subject. Because I want to explore the fact that if you want a job with Monster, or if you want to look through a job with Monster, you are sorely mistaken. I can't find any recent data, but the data that is the most recent, they probably stopped keeping track because it was so damning, was 3%. 3% success rate in getting a job off Monster. And which is shocking for something that has taken over the daily newspapers. And maybe this is old-fashioned. Maybe capitalism and the free market has ruined any reason for idealism. Maybe we just should, maybe that's just quaint to think in terms of idealism. But the daily newspapers was the community. It was how people learned what was going on. Well, it's not run by the community anymore. Somehow, Monster and CareerBuilder have talked your local newspaper into charging astronomical fees to advertise a position with them. Why is that a problem? It's a problem because what all conservatives and liberals, Democrats and Republicans alike, seem to be harping on is that if there weren't so many taxes, if we weren't so anti-business with regulations, which is the argument on the conservative side, everybody would be investing in business, in small business, and that mom and pop and the small business is the wave of the future. Well, if you're trying to start a business and you want to find employees, and you want to pay your employee $10 an hour, $12 an hour, are you going to be able to afford to spend $400? That's on the low end. That's the minimum on looking for somebody to work there. You're probably not. It's astronomical. How is that okay? In selling cars, in selling real estate, in garage sales, there is no peer for those kind of prices. And somehow Monster has convinced newspapers, I don't know what kind of cut they get, that this is fair and that this is logical. It's not. You get one, with that $400 minimum, you might get 1 day in print and you'll get 30 days on Monster.com. Have you ever looked at Monster.com? It's a joke. It's insulting. What is it designed for? It's not designed for you to get a job. In fact, it seems designed to do everything but. If you go to Monster and you look at their information sheets where they give advice on how to find a job, they don't even list using Monster to find a job. But at the same time, they are charging prohibitive fees for a newspaper, for a person to place an ad in the newspaper, for a small business owner, and you just get 1 day in print. That's asinine. How is that okay? And so it is astonishing that Monster's been able to come up with this monopoly. It seems to be shared by both Monster and CareerBuilder. So that's the #1 problem. I can't believe it hasn't been highlighted earlier, because the basic function that must occur for people to get a job, unless they're going to spend all day long, all their resources, all their money to network. Well, if you don't have any money and you've been fired or you've been laid off, or you, for whatever reason, don't have a job right now and you want one, who cares why you don't have one? Do you want one? And most people do. They're looking. Well, if they're not independently wealthy, if they don't have a sponsor, if they don't have a patron, they've got to do things simply. They can't drive all over creation. They can't, what resources are they going to use? So this idea, well, I think we need to start from square one and get something organized. We need Jobs 2.0. Monster is Internet 1.0, wouldn't you say? Talk about antiquated. Talk about oppressive. Talk about a meaningless site that is just gouging people for money. It's shameful. It needs to stop. And if there can be something done, rational, sure, people that have a company or a newspaper that needs to make a profit charge to place a classified ad. But 1 day in print and 30 days on that joke, Monster.com? Are you kidding? Like I said, I can't believe this has not been explored earlier or all the time or a lot. We can talk about jobs all we want. We can talk about people not having jobs, about job creation, about outsourcing, about insourcing. But if we don't have a good way for everybody to find out where these jobs are, who have limited resources, who are not independently wealthy, then it's a moot point. It's meaningless. And so I hope that you will join me and that you will take action, contact your newspapers, and tell them what you think about their letting Monster CareerBuilder wholesale take over your community newspapers job section. For what? For what? So they can get one day in print with that newspaper and the rest it's just gonna be floating out on monster.com. What a joke. Please, if you've had this experience, if you have any thoughts on this, contact me. Let me know. My email address will be at the end of this film. Let me know what you think and what your ideas are, what your experiences have been, and I really want to hear them and see what other people can contribute to this discussion, because it can't just be on theory. I know that there are a lot of actual individual stories because I've read them, but I'd like to hear yours. Okay, thank you.